This is all about MedSpa Surge. Oh my goodness. How to execute a profitable sales event and how to be operationally prepared and making sure that it's treated as a sales event and not just a fun event where you get to schmooze everybody in town. We are looking to make this a profitable event. My name is MJ Clements. I am a senior operations consultant here at Diamond Accelerator. And, in today's call, Julie and I are going to be walking you through how to operationally prepare and execute a seamless revenue driving event. And you guys, it goes without saying, it is January, and you know what that means. It is the new year, new me crew that is in full effect. So in our industry, our health and wellness, peptides and hormones, weight loss, those are, cool sculpting, M sculpt, our body sculpting, our body toning. Those are the events that are really prevalent in January and February. So you'll be hearing Julie and I talk a lot about that today. And again, you guys have had the pleasure of meeting Julie in the past, but if you are new to us, I always joke around that Julie is my work wife. She is my partner in crime. Her and I work very, very closely with each other on the clients that we share. She handles all the things on the marketing side. She's a marketing wizard. She will make sure that there are butts and seats for you. And I handle everything on the operations side. So together, Julie and I have a proven track record. We can rinse and repeat as long as, we have some action takers on both sides of generating up to $175,000 in event revenue in a single day. And I actually think for this Black Friday, Julie and I were able to beat that record. So we'll talk a little bit about that today as well. So you're getting both sides of the equation, how to plan an event and how to execute it, and how to make sure the room is packed with patients that are ready to say yes and make these purchases without hesitation. So not people who are just coming to enjoy the catering that you have or maybe learning about some services, drinking the champagne and leaving. We are going to get butts and seats in your practice that are ready to say yes. Now, Julie, I get the pleasure of seeing you shine every single day. So I would love if you could take a moment to introduce yourself. And I really encourage you, please do not hold back. I want you to brag about yourself. So we'd love to get to know you a little bit.
Well, thank you so much for that. I think what makes us such a strong team is when operations and marketing come together, we have seen that the results are undeniable. We've seen practices generate six-figure days from a single event, and you said it yourself. We have such an amazing strategy that we work with, and we've implemented it. And I mean, just this past holiday season, I had a client do her second event ever, her first event with us, and she doubled her revenue at her event the first time we did an event together. So we're already starting to work on planning her next event. I'm super excited for it. So I'm Julie Dunkirk, Senior Marketing Consultant at Diamond Accelerator, and event marketing is one of my favorite strategies to scale quickly. And I also guide practices in building consistent year-round growth, converting leads into loyal patients, optimizing ad performance, streamlining systems so no opportunity slips through the cracks. And I'm excited for us to share these strategies with you today and show you how our marketing and operations sides work hand in hand.
Yeah. And I think while you were saying that, it just reminded me of something. You're talking about all the wonderful things that you do in marketing aside from events. So you're talking about optimizing ad performance, streamlining systems, making sure like funnels are built in properly, offers, everything that you're highlighting. It just sparked something in me because I have a lot of clients that will come to me, and when we're onboarding, I'll ask them, how's your event success? What does that look like for you? When was your last event? And time again, I have so many practice owners that will tell me like, I stopped doing them like 10 years ago. It was just too much on my team. We would generate like $2,000 for an entire day. And it just didn't seem like it was worth it. And I want to talk about why these events really, really matter. And again, we get access to really top performers, best in class med spas that were able to reach those heights. So our industry benchmarks are really, really solid. So events are one of the highest ROI strategies for patient engagement. Events are going to very quickly build trust, drive same day revenue, strengthen long-term loyalty. And the truth in these events is success is 50% about how you market it and 50% about how well you operationally execute this event. So if one side is missing, so if either no one shows up or the event feels really, really chaotic, the opportunity is completely lost. But again, it is so worth it because the ROI in it, it's a quick 1 day event. And as long as you and your team are operationally prepared, it will be successful. So long as you do the right marketing levers and get people in the door. So let's go ahead and break down the operational side first. And before we start getting into the nitty gritty and the details that Julie and I are going to give you today, if you are interested in receiving our MedSpa sales event blueprint, please put in the comments event and you will receive that. So please put in the comments event to receive our MedSpa sales event blueprint. All right. So now let's get into our operational preparedness. So the very first thing that Julie and I deploy without fail is an event planner and timeline. So the first thing you need to do is create a planner about the document. This should be a living and breathing document that multiple people, have access to. This document is going to map out every single step from 8 weeks to the post-event follow-up. This is going to have timelines for marketing launches. It's going to have your rep requests and what they committed to, who's going to be there in person supporting you from your reps, who is going to be there supporting you through like food and beverage or whatever else, whether it's samples or goodie bags or raffles. This event is going to have your staff assignments, and this is going to be huge. We will talk about this a lot today. I'm a firm believer if it's everybody's job, then it's no one's job. So I really feel like at these events, they are the most successful when people have stations. And they're kind of stationed in certain areas. And then you have floaters that kind of walk around and kind of guide your guests to each station. That's where it's the most successful. And of course, on this event, it's going to be ordering supplies. What do you need? Has catering been ordered? How many people was it ordered for? How is all of your invoices on this event? Don't overcomplicate your life. Just put it all on one event planner and timeline so it can streamline communication, streamline efforts, streamline commitments, and everything in between. Another thing to become operationally prepared for these events is going to be your vendor and your rep partnerships. Now, I can't stress this enough. Reach out to your reps as early as you possibly can. The moment that the event idea strikes in your head, I want you to immediately text and email your reps. They are going to provide raffle items, product support, hands-on demos. This is one of my favorite things to do if executed properly. This is going to save your budget. It's going to increase the event's value and ultimately the attendees because they're going to be telling people that they're running into about this event. They're going to be your best billboards. So reach out to them very early. Time and time again, Julie and I are constantly having this conversation with our clients. Did you reach out to the reps yet? Did you reach out to the reps yet? Did you use the template that I gave you to request X, Y, and Z? And they'll say, no, I know she's really busy. She just had another event. I'll reach out to her maybe 2 weeks before the event. No. She's going to have commitments up to 4 months from now. So reach out to them early. All right, again, we talked a little bit about this. I told you the importance of if it's everybody's job, it's no one's job. And I'm a firm believer in stations. So I like to kind of chalk this up to your team roles, responsibility, and the workflow of the event. You should have some type of strategy, some type of goals associated with it. So the same way you guys hear me talk about KPIs for your practice revenue as a whole, your events are going to have their own customized batch of KPIs as well. So what we're going to do is we are going to assign specific roles and responsibilities. So your front desk or your guest experience specialist, whatever you guys decide to call them, I want them checking in patients at the front, grabbing their email, grabbing their phone number, grabbing their name, giving them a raffle ticket, and then hand them off to that floater that I was telling you about. So that way the floater can kind of navigate, explain other things, and that's a built-in conversation right there. How many times have you guys gone to an event, whether it's a sales event, whether it's even a wedding, a birthday party, and you kind of walk in and the entire flow of the event just there's no obvious flow. There's no one kind of for you to talk to right away. And generally, like if you are an outgoing person, that's fine. That doesn't really matter. You'll find your way. But there's such a wonderful piece of not having to worry about that. So I like to go ahead and plant a floater where right when you see the raffle ticket is handed, Then we're going to do a handoff. The front desk is very professionally going to say, maybe your floater's name is Sarah. Sarah, this is Becky. Becky is the most interested in X, Y, and Z because our front desk is collecting this information. Becky, enjoy the afternoon. Again, just a reminder, our raffle is going to be tomorrow on Instagram, whatever, whatever. So that is such a beautiful handoff. She never has to think about like, oh, where should I start next? Sarah's going to start guiding her through the event and keep the energy very high. Your energy is very contagious at these events. They're going to feel if you guys are nervous. I secret shopped an event once and the entire staff was so scared and hiding behind the front desk. I remember saying like, get out of there. Like in my head, like reel them in, like go and talk to people. Your energy is going to be contagious. All right, your providers. I do not love providers performing consultations back in a room. I don't want them to be jam-packed back in a room. I don't think that's their highest leverage move. I think your provider's highest leverage move is moving through the event. Maybe they're a floater. Maybe they are stationed somewhere and we have some type of engagement tactic, which we'll get to later in today's call. But don't have them trapped back there with one patient. I like demos. I mentioned this earlier. If it is executed properly, it has to be executed properly in order for me to sign off on a demo. Usually I like pre-recorded demos that are shown on TVs. But we'll get to the nitty gritty in that a little bit later. Maybe some very quick treatments if we're doing like maybe some hand hydrofacials as a part of the event flow. These aren't private treatments in the back, it's just sample treatments. I love those. So your providers have them talk about what they love and what they know best. Leadership. So they are going to be responsible for keeping the flow organized, making sure that our floaters are where they need to be, making sure that they're tapping their team out to take breaks. They need to go in the back and have a water break, an energy drink break, whatever they need to do, making sure that the entire flow is organized and stepping in where needed. A lot of times where I will send my leadership to kind of step in is where I see a line starts forming towards the back of the door. That's when I send in my managers, my regionals to go ahead and go grab your iPad and start checking people out down the line. And then support staff. So they're going to be assisting in handling payments, like we just talked about, booking follow-ups, managing traffic flow, and everything in between. So those are just a few examples of some team roles and responsibilities that it's absolutely crucial that you assign ahead of time. Now, two more points here to become operationally prepared. One is going to be our engagement strategies. You have got to plan how you're going to keep guests engaged. One of Julie and I's favorite things to execute is a passport system. It's really cute. It's something that we make here. It looks like a little passport. And it's a good way to force the flow. So essentially, if you go and you talk to every rep and if a team member, they're going to sign your passport. And then if you get all of the signatures, you get an additional raffle item. That is a great way to kind of force engagement, force these conversations while making it fun. I've done a scavenger hunt, which was awesome. Any type of engagement. I've done bingo. And I want you to think like live demos, raffle drawings, patient testimonials, a treatment station where we're talking. Anything where you can plan the engagement is really, really crucial. I hate when I go to an event and I just see everyone kind of sitting there with their arms crossed or they're eating off their plate. Like, have some engagement, have a photo booth, have the passport, have some movement in the room. Okay, last operational preparedness tip from, before the event, how to plan for it is really just ultimately your best practices. So build an event day run sheet, and I want it to be by the hour by hour. Who is responsible for what? And I want you to practice this workflow the day before. And finally, I want to make sure that you have your follow-up process defined. You will hear me say this a lot if you're a client of mine. The fortune is in the follow-up. So I want you to clearly assign those roles, talk about what your follow-up process is going to look like afterwards for maybe people who did not purchase, who did purchase, and everything in between. Again, the fortune is in the follow-up, so you cannot miss this step. Now I'm going to hand it off to Julie, and then here pretty shortly, we're going to start talking about how crucial it is to make sure your team understands the promotions, they understand the sales that are going on, they understand how to check people out. So Julie, go ahead and walk us through your favorite marketing tactics.
Yeah. Well, I love how you broke down the operational side because success is really 50-50. If you've got the logistics but no marketing, you don't have anyone that shows up. If you've got the marketing but no structure, the event feels chaotic. So let's talk about how to fill the room and keep the buzz going before and after the event. So MJ mentioned having the event planner and timeline. And from the marketing side, that's where everything starts. So you want all of the details finalized a minimum of 8 weeks prior to your event. We want to have attendance incentives, the event only promos, the vendors, the raffles, everything planned out so we can build the ads and prep social media and, schedule out all of your emails and text blasts and all of the things to really start building up that RSVP list. Split campaigns into VIPs. So, send a text blast or an invite to your VIP list with a more exclusive invite with maybe some additional perks to your VIP guests, and then sending out a message to a general list through emails and texts as well. So for VIP members and top spenders, start 5 to 6 weeks out with, early access messaging, like you're the first to know, VIP early access, and add perks, such as like double raffle entries and early RSVP bonuses. And then when you send it out to your general list, you want to kick in closer to the event 4 weeks out with urgency messaging, like, spots are filling fast. The biggest piece we want to do is your paid ads. So I recommend launching paid ads at least 3 weeks out. And these are great for capturing new faces who aren't already on your list. It keeps, you want to keep them simple, eye-catching, and highlight everything that's going to be happening at your event to build that excitement. With the event only specials, the event attendance incentives, and the raffles. You want to add pop-ups on your website. So that way we get with the direct link to your landing page. So, with our strategy, we take your landing page and we make that your main source of tracking RSVPs. So all of your RSVPs land in one place. And then from there, every person that RSVPs will get an immediate confirmation message letting them know that they're confirmed. Then they get their reminders leading up to event, 1 week before the event, 3 days before the event, the day before the event, and the day of the event. So doing everything you can to really keep the momentum going is the biggest piece. And then with your website pop-up, you want to have that direct RSVP link that's going to drive them straight to that RSVP page. So one of the clients that MJ and I had that worked together was hosting her very first event, and she was nervous about the turnout. We made the decision to stick tightly to the timeline, and I've done so many events with her since, and now she's pulling me into that timeline. She sends me emails, lets me know, like, we need to get this started right away, just exactly like we did last time. And we gave ourselves, that extra runway. And she was able to generate over 200 RSVPs in her event, and then did over $80,000 in pre-sales leading up to her event. Then on the day of the event, she was able to generate another $70,000 in same day sales at her event. So with her first ever event, this was incredible results. And, that's what got her to really stick to this proven process. MJ talked about, engagement during the events and stuff like that, but you also want to have the engagement happening before the event. So, these don't need to be polished clips or anything like that, but you really want to start pushing out these different teasers on your social medias, showing people, your team putting together the swag bags, and, we can't wait to see you at our event. So these are all things that are really going to hype things up. And the best part, you can repurpose this content across multiple channels. So the same 30-second clip can go on Instagram, Facebook, and be trimmed down for stories and use with the RSVP link to add to an email. So there's a lot of different things you can do with capturing content before the event to build up the hype. Driving urgency, you want to maximize RSVPs. Every single message needs urgency. In emails and texts, use language like only a few spots left. Reserve now to claim your swag bag. I found that urgency works best when tied to perks. So rewards for the first 20 RSVPs with double entries, offer bring a friend bonus. That keeps the excitement going, and it doesn't feel pushy. And don't underestimate the exclusivity phrases like event only pricing on our top treatments, your chance to win a Louis Vuitton bag. These convert because they highlight what's unique to the event. Another piece is promoting on the day of the event. So on the day of, MJ stressed assigning roles and applying, and this applies to marketing too. If you don't assign someone to handle social media posting and capturing content, it usually doesn't get done. The key here is assigning someone to own this, because if it's everyone's job, it's no one's job and
Right.
it won't get done. Have one dedicated person whose only role is to capture and posting content so the team can focus on the patients. Before the doors open, have them capture those quick teasers, story walkthroughs, showing the prize raffle table, reels of the swag bags, behind the scenes of staff getting ready. Or even just a welcome shot at the check-in station. These posts set the tone and make people think, I'm not missing the next one. And then once the event is underway, you want to keep posting live raffle drawings, short clips of, the treatment demos, stories of guest mingling, and staff interacting with patients. And here's why this matters, because all of that content becomes your post-event highlight reel, your thank you posts, your recap emails, and plus it shows non-attendees exactly what they miss, and that FOMO is what makes them make sure that they attend the next event faster. So that goes into the post-event marketing. MJ said it best. The fortune is in the follow-up. And on the marketing side, here's what that looks like. So recap content using those highlight reels, winner spotlights, thank you posts from the owners and the team. Segment your follow-up, thank attendees for within a couple of days, and reach out to the no-shows, letting them know that you missed them at the event, and maybe extending your event-only pricing for 1 week, because that second chance often drives a lot of post event sales. And then don't forget the fence sitters, the patients who almost bought. A personal follow-up call offering extended pricing to them often turns those maybes into yeses. So this is where events go beyond the one night, and you're creating a ripple effect that keeps revenue coming in after the chairs are stacked and the doors are closed.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I think you summarized that beautifully, because when marketing and operations, they work hand in hand, you're not just going to have an event, you're going to have a sales engine. You're going to have an event that really increases your brand awareness, your authority, and maybe all of the space, or even maybe just a certain, educational content. Or if you're focusing towards body contouring, GLP-1s, HRT, maybe it's an educational focused event, and we're building more brand awareness and authority in that space. The marketing is going to drive patients in the door, and your operations are going to make sure everything is flowing smoothly and revenue is really, really maximized. Because I want to touch on this point. I have a lot of practices who will kind of talk to me about their past events, and they're like, yes, we have the forced engagement, which is the passports that we were outlining to you guys. Yes, we do the flow. We have a loose follow-up, method in place. And the only thing we're missing is our sales are really bad. Like, I feel like we're really prepared. And so when I start diving into that and I start asking more questions, 9 times out of 10, I end up revealing is their team showed up that day and learned about the promotions the day of the event. Maybe the ops team or admin were finalizing what those were actually going to be. They did an all hands team meeting the day of the event and just went ahead and told everybody. That is, I think, the missing piece. You could be really operationally prepared, but if you don't work with your team on scripting, verbiage, what these offers are, they're just kind of like told, last second and then released to the wolves. Where I think that you can really fine tune that process for yourself is let them know a month before. Make sure that you tell them, like in the consultation room, don't let patients know, like, wait, don't do this service because we're going to do an event. Make sure that they are, private about it, but then give them the tools in their toolbox that they need to actually sell and exceed. Do specific sales trainings around what these offerings are. Give them scripting. Now, I don't want them sitting there reading from a cue card, but what I do want is to have consistent verbiage across the board. If your front desk your manager and your provider are all talking about the same promotions, there needs to be some type of continuity between their verbiage and what they're saying. It's really crucial that, when you're explaining memberships, for example, you're explaining them with the same verbiage, you're explaining them in the same way. When patients hear information and they're hearing it all jumbled from four different people, that gives them that decision fatigue that we're trying to avoid. So set your team up for success. Make sure they're operationally prepared. You've got your event planner, you've talked to your reps early, your marketing is solid. Then you have that final cherry on top and you give them sales training based on the offerings that you have that day. And that is going to be what closes the gap between a successful event, which is a revenue driving event, not just a party, not just a celebration, not just an educational give back to the community, a successful sales event that can be up to $200,000. That can change your year. That can change your EBITDA. That can change the trajectory of your practice for that year. So please, please, please keep that in mind.
Yeah, you said it great. When you promote well and deliver consistency, amazing results, your guests will become your biggest ambassadors, and that's how events compound their value.
Yeah, absolutely. If you are a practice that feels like you just have not gotten the event space right yet, maybe you feel like you're pulling all the right levers, please do not forget to comment event and we will send you our MedSpa sales event blueprint. We've taken everything that Julie and I have talked about on today's call, met with our team for hours on end to make sure that we put together the perfect blueprint that we could provide to our clients so that way you guys can operate and have very, very successful sales events yourself. So comment event to receive the sales event blueprint. Okay, so ultimately, to wrap up here, I want you to take these at least. If you hear nothing else, I want these to be your key takeaways from my side, the operational side. Start with that detailed event planner and timeline. That's a non-negotiable. We need to have something written down. And I'm not talking about in a sticky note that lives in your car, your kitchen, your office, and just kind of keeps fluctuating. I want this to be a detailed living and breathing document that everyone can have access to. Two, secure that rep support and secure it early. I want this for raffles, for product backing, for consumable backing, for food and beverage and all the things. Secure that very, very early. Three, assign those clear roles. Remember, you've heard it from me, you've heard it from Julie, and I want you guys to start screaming this from the rooftops. If it is everyone's job, it is no one's job. We need to hold ourselves with extreme accountability in 2026. We're settling for nothing less. So assign clear roles and responsibilities for every single one of your team members, from the CEO and down. Okay, four, keep guests engaged. We want to have those interactive elements. So we talked about maybe some hand facials. We talked about the passports. We talked about bingo cards. We talked about scavenger hunts, whatever it takes to have that forced engagement and that forced interaction. And then five, last for me, have that structured follow-up plan. Have it structured to convert excitement into revenue and track it. It's not enough to just say, here's our list, front desk, go ahead and call them all. The fortune is in the follow-up, so go ahead and follow up with them. That's not enough. I want you guys to create a spreadsheet that has a list of everybody who purchased, a list of everyone who didn't, a list of maybes. I want you to write down who called them, who texted them, how many times, did they book, did they purchase after the event if you're extending it like Julie recommended us to do, and track that and hold them accountable to some KPIs. I used to give my team that sheet and I would say, okay, your goal is to convert 60% of this list. You can extend it. You can do whatever you need to do. Here's a back pocket discount of 5% if you feel like you really need it. Your goal is 60% conversion on this follow-up list. So that is really how to wrap it up in a bow of how to be operationally prepared for a sales event this January while you guys are starting to do your health and wellness events.
Yeah. Well, and from the marketing side, the final pieces I would love for you to take away from here is you want to promote early and often. Don't just set a date and then try to piece things together along the way. You want to have a solid plan to make sure that everything gets executed smoothly. You want to use video and social proof. You want to create that urgency with offers and RSVP deadlines and attendance incentives. Showcase your event after, because that is going to be your marketing fuel for months to come. So that is everything on the marketing side. And, good luck to all of your events upcoming, but the strategy works and we're excited to share.
Absolutely. We have 1 minute here that we can open the floor to any questions. If anyone has any questions, again, don't forget to comment event if you haven't already to lock in your sales event blueprint. We'll see if we have any questions here. Thank you, Julie, for all of your tips. It's so important because I can get your team very operationally secure. They can be ready for war on the front lines, but if you, you are really our missing piece. If you aren't getting those butts and seats, then there's no one to sell to. So thank you so much for sharing all of those tactics here. I'm not seeing any questions coming in just yet. So we will wrap up here. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Go out there and crush it for all of your events. You will see us here, same time, same place, every Wednesday on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. And thank you so much. We'll see you next week.